Howdy everybody. This video is about our egregious drawdown of groundwater aquifers in Comal County, Central Texas, with the main focus on the dry Comal Creek and how it used to not be dry, and how the word dry was attached in the mid to late 1900s, and it was likely an actual branch of the Comal River that flowed, or it was covered with lots of soil, and it was a groundwater conduit, and only became exposed to atmosphere after major erosion due to wicked land management practices, such as those practiced by white Europeans, including Spanish and Portuguese. So let us dive into the dry Comal Creek, and we can imagine in construct what this landscape once was before it was severely degraded and wasted. Enjoy. Dry Comal Creek, located in Comal County, Texas, is a tributary of the Comal River and part of the broader Guadalupe River watershed. Despite its modern name suggesting it's often dry, the historical flow and naming of the creek tell a more nuanced story. Was Dry Comal Creek always called dry? No. The name Dry Comal Creek is relatively modern and appears to have been used more consistently only in the 20th century, especially on USGS maps from the mid-1900s onward. Prior to that, references to the creek vary, and it may have simply been known as a branch or tributary of the Comal River, or unnamed on early Spanish or German settler maps. Historical timeline and use. Pre-1800s. Native and Spanish era. Native peoples, likely Coahuiltecans, utilized the entire Comal River system, including Dry Comal Creek, for seasonal water and game. Spanish expeditions mapped general watercourses in the area, including the Comal Springs, but smaller tributaries like Dry Comal Creek may not have been distinctly named in early records. Mid-1800s German settlement. In the 1840s, German settlers led by Prince Karl of Solms Braunfels founded New Braunfels. Comal Creek tributaries, like Dry Comal Creek, were used for irrigation, livestock, and mills, particularly in the area near Landa Park. There is evidence that Dry Comal Creek once flowed more consistently, especially during wetter decades before major aquifer drawdown, late 1800s to early 1900s, mill and agricultural use. Farmers in the area constructed small dams and channels to control flow for crops and livestock. It is likely the creek had seasonal but not completely dry flow. Some early maps and survey records indicate wet weather creek conditions. Post-1950s, aquifer pumping and name formalization. Widespread pumping from the Edwards Aquifer began to reduce spring and creek flows across the hill country. The name Dry Comal Creek became standard in USGS hydrography datasets, likely reflecting its increasing ephemeral, non-perennial nature. Suburban development, road building, and impervious surface increase also altered runoff and decreased infiltration, reducing base flow further. Is Dry Comal Creek actually dry? It is usually ephemeral, meaning it only flows after rain, especially upstream near FM 306 or Loop 337. However, downstream near Landa Park and the confluence with the Comal River, there are sometimes perennial pools, especially where springs or urban runoff augment the flow. Scientific observations. Dye tracing studies in the Edwards Aquifer region have shown that some water from Dry Comal Creek may recharge the aquifer, especially near sinkholes and karst features. It's part of the critical zone of interaction between surface water and groundwater in the Comal Springs recharge zone. Cultural and ecological role. Today, the name Dry Comal Creek may underrepresent its historical importance. It's now also associated with Dry Comal Creek vineyards, indicating modern usage of the name in local business and tourism. Summary. Aspect details: historical name likely unnamed or called a Comal branch before 1900. Name usage. Dry Comal Creek became common in the 20th century. Flow history. Historically had more frequent flow, now mostly dry except after rains, cause of drying aquifer depletion, urbanization, land clearing. Modern role: seasonal creek, recharge zone. Local landmark. Would you like a map overlay showing historical versus modern flow patterns, or access to old survey plats mentioning Comal tributaries?